Hello everybody, welcome to the Wonky Angle, where I talk about electronic music, both new and old, and today I'm talking about how my videos suck. Alright, so I know it's April Fool's Day, but this isn't actually one of those videos where everything you say is actually a lie. I just kind of felt like this was as good a time as any to post this, to show what a fool I can be sometimes. Now, this video isn't a look back on the videos that got the most people angry. There's a little bit of that, of course, but this video is about the videos of mine that I hate, or I think I really screwed up. Like my videos on, say, Aldiker's LSEC 1 through 5, or Savant's Jester aren't here because I stand by everything I said in them, don't actually hate watching them. Also, I'm not going to focus too much on my videos on 2015, or I'll try not to. My delivery is borderline unwatchable in everything I released that year, but I think it's excusable since I was just starting out and hadn't gotten the hang of presenting in front of a camera. So here, in no particular order, are a bunch of the worst videos I've ever made, or the ones I personally find hardest to watch. Okay, starting out with BT Electronic Opus. I used to hate this video because I felt like it wasn't necessary, because, oh, BT's greatest hits with an orchestra is an idea that speaks for itself. Now I hate this video because, good God, am I a drooling fanboy all over it who thinks BT is capable of doing no wrong. See also my review of Vince Clarke and Paul Hartnell's 2 Square, where I drool over one of them and not the other, and seem kind of in denial that a project attached to a member of Orbital could be undercooked. The Chemical Brothers, Surrender. I actually like most of this video, but I believe this was the last time that I used the word objectively to describe the quality of an album, which is really stupid. I conflated objective quality, which is not a thing, with personally being impressed with a project in some way through its construction or something like that. But even so, that's not objective. What impresses me is not what impresses everyone, and no one should ever use the term objective when describing their opinions on music, unless they mean to say their opinion is not that. I think the rest of this video is fine, but that little detail is gonna haunt me. Flume, Skin Companion EP 1. This is here instead of my actual Skin video that everyone hated, because this is some pretty hard backpedaling. I don't think this EP is bad by any stretch, and I'd rather listen to it than the main album, but I might have overrated it in order to calm people down and get them to back away from me. The actual Skin review, I will freely admit, is also really undercooked, since I listened to it twice and decided I didn't want to listen to it ever again, and then just put it out to get people off my back, which is not really a good mindset to have for a video. But I also feel like all reviewers gotta have their My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is a 6 kind of review at some point, and I'm glad mine exists, so yeah, that's not actually on this list, so I don't hate that video. Phonic, Emergence. No one's gonna care about this, but I just wish I'd sat through the rest of the bonus material before putting that video out, and that really bugs me for whatever reason. Lindsey Sterling, Brave Enough. I did not know that this album was partially a tribute to a friend of hers, or like a backup musician or something like that, that passed away when I recorded it. And Jesus Christ, does it make me look like a douchebag. All those dislikes are 100% merited. You got me on that one. John Hopkins, Singularity. This is not an 8 out of 10, and I knew it wasn't an 8 out of 10 while I was saying out loud that it was an 8 out of 10. I still think the album's really solid, but like, you can just see the lack of confidence in that score all over me, so like, yeah, that's not a good one. Lantis, Pharmacy. Because of course, like, everyone's first video is terrible, and this video is terrible. Duh. Also, I kind of enjoy this album markedly less than when I posted it, so there's that too. The top 10 worst hit songs of 2015. I hate all my Todd ripoff videos that focus on the worst hits, because all of them feel really forced. Like, my 2018 one where I barely even tried to offer anything of substance is, I think, the only one that accurately reflects how much I care about the dregs of pop music at this point. The 2015 one is the worst one because, well, it's from 2015. And I'm still a garbage presenter at that point. And at least the other ones have, like, at least a couple of jokes I still think are good, or a take that still feels satisfying in some way, even if there's a ton of filler that I hate. This one doesn't even feel satisfying because my bad delivery ruins it, and you can tell I was just doing it because I knew it would get views, so that's cool. Porter Robinson Worlds vs. Maddie on Adventure. You'll notice that I never made a video comparing 2 albums from 2 different artists ever again. These should have just been separate reviews. I still stand by what I said about both and enjoy them roughly the same amount as I did then. But if I were covering them now, I'd have a lot more to say about them, especially Worlds. Though by the same token, making another video and reopening that wound at this point would probably be a really bad idea, and it'd mostly feel like a reaction to the hordes of people who hail this as the greatest piece of art mankind has ever devised, and anyone who disagrees is the devil. Those fans were seriously the worst for so many years, but I think it's kind of finally started to wear off at this point. But yeah, I'm not proud of that video. It would have been more fair to critique the album separately and not force a comparison. Zedd Clarity. This is the video I did with my brother, and I still feel like it could have gone a lot better than it actually did. I do think me and my brother do generally work off each other well, but this particular video was not our first attempt at recording it, and as a result, it does not feel as natural as it should have. Like, I bring up a BT comparison. That was a point that got brought up in our first attempt that made sense then, but didn't really make sense in the final version. And I don't feel like we got out all the things we could have said about it, and I feel like we overplayed the album to ourselves and made our experiences worse, etc, etc, etc. I mean, this is probably too much anxiety for stuff that doesn't actually matter, but it's stuff that bugs me all the same. Depeche Mode, Spirit. This was another dislike magnet, but I don't hate this review for the same reasons that everyone was mad at it. Like, most of the dislikes were from old people who were mad that I didn't grow up with the band like they did and thought I wasn't qualified to talk about it. Blech. I think that's just kind of dumb, but I hate this review now because my thoughts on the album itself are undercooked. And I was really just going out of my way to avoid any political discussion since it was just after the election and I was burnt out on thinking about any of the stuff they were talking about. And that political dodging is now pretty cringy to me. I still don't like the album much. It's way too bleak and pissy for its own good, but I could have sat with that one more than I did, and it's so awkward to watch now. It also led to my overcorrecting for the Erasure World Begone review and me self-deprecating way too much in order to soften a blow that wasn't actually coming. But that also ended up with one of the nicest and most bizarrely respectful comment sections I've ever seen in my life, so what are you gonna do? Pretty Lights, Making Up a Changing Mind in the EP trilogy. I recorded this one while I was having some esophagus problems and physically couldn't swallow. Right after recording it, I ended up so messed up I had to go to the hospital, and I was on medication to help me swallow for months after the fact. Now, whether or not I recorded this video probably wouldn't have changed all that much, and I've obviously made a full recovery since, so don't worry about that, but I just look at this thing and I think, hey, that's the video I almost died while making. That was not worth it. Serious Mo. Comic. This is another one that most people probably aren't going to care about, but it's a classic case of me still not knowing how to deal with internet trolls yet. I mean, I basically got one comment that said, "Your channel sucks, review Serious Mo," and I immediately thought, oh, this means I'm going to get another crappy fan base. So I attempted to preempt what I thought was going to be an incoming backlash in the video, and it turned out to be completely unwarranted. To the point of one guy asking me, "Hey, why are you acting so pissy in this video? This isn't like you." That stuck with me, and I've since just made the effort to not let douchey fan bases mess with the way I present videos. So, another learning experience, I guess. Burial, Untrue, and Self-Titled. Oh Jesus, there's an entire section of this video where I ranted about Skrillex, and that was one of the stupidest decisions I've ever made in my reviewing career. I did not know the background of how dubstep became a thing or realized how skewed my perspective was, and bringing the topic up was basically just asking for abuse. Fantano has since made a video on Untrue that way more effectively describes what's so great about that album, and he utilizes the genre term future garage, which is far more useful in retrospect than dubstep. And finally, Eric Prydz, Opus. Yep, finishing this off with maybe the most obvious pick. This was the first time I'd ever uploaded a video that got any kind of substantial backlash. And in retrospect, the backlash wasn't even that bad compared to later videos I'd go on to make. I had an entire video directly addressing the things I messed up with this review. Like, I mispronounced his name, I mislabeled the genre he typically operates in, I said he was trans when I probably should have said he was more progressive house. I think that's right. I had an entire section of the video dedicated to saying I hated Swedish House Mafia, even though Prince himself barely had anything to do with them in the first place. It's just kind of a messy video, and I did not take it very well when it initially blew up in my face. But, you know, I guess we gotta start somewhere. Nowadays, I'm at the point where I can upload a negative/ambivalent review of the newest Prodigy album, get flooded with people who don't know how opinions work, and just kind of sit back and enjoy the ride. So I think I've come a pretty long way from stuff like this. That's still not to say I'm not going to upload really terrible videos in the future, but you know. So yeah, there we have a bunch of my worst videos I've ever done. Hope you enjoyed this video, and maybe learned something from it. And have a good April Fool's Day that doesn't have too many people who are bad at jokes. So that's all for today. See you next time.